Greetings, Commanders. Welcome to this somewhat unconventional recording. I have with me Commander Alex MG1 of Exynos Strike Force. Welcome, Alex.
Hello.
And what we're going to do today is record what effectively is meant to be a briefing video, a training video, an educational video, all of these things combined effectively, about a very unconventional way of fighting in Elite Dangerous, which is wing-based fighting with a concordant sequence wing. What is concordant sequence? Concordant sequence is an experimental effect that is applied to lasers. Note it's also a different effect than regeneration sequence, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And what concordant sequence does is it multiplies the shield recharge rate of wingmates, which you tap, by a factor of 10, which is an incredibly powerful effect because that multiplication happens without an increase in distance draw. So it effectively makes their shields recharge at 10 times the speed, but without increasing the energy required to charge up those shields. There's a couple of catches that come with concordant sequence, namely, it only works on wingmates. So this is not something that you can just drop into a random war zone and start tapping random commanders, because it's not going to work on someone that you're not actively winged up on. And the second catch is that it is only effective on shields that are charging. And shields only charge when they're not actively under fire. In fact, there's a 3-second delay between when shields are hit and when they start recharging. Last but not least, it obviously doesn't work on broken shields. So it's somewhat of a situational effect that is incredibly powerful when it works, but it requires very advanced tactics and some pretty extensive and specialized training for it to work properly. In fact, Alex, I don't know what you think, but in my opinion, this might be one of the most sophisticated trainings we do in the Exynos Strike Force in terms of getting a wing to function properly with concordant sequence. What do you think?
Yeah, it is inherently more difficult to make effective compared to just having whole tanks that have to worry about less aspects on the battlefield. That's true.
Right. And then you're right. And then because the other thing is you're now in a shielded build, which means you need to watch your pips. You need to have pips in system, which you don't really care about. You're going to be much more actively handling pips, unlike you'll be doing in a shieldless build. And last but not least, you will want to pay attention to your wingmates and your wingmates' shield status in ways that you would never care about. Normally, people fly in wings in Elite, but it's kind of every man or woman for themselves. In a concordant sequence wing, you are first and foremost looking after your wingmates, and only after that, you're focusing on whatever target or activity that you're kind of doing. In fact, we've have hotkeys that we've mapped to immediately target. I have it on my F2 key on my keyboard. F2, F3, F4 is target wingman, first, second, and third wingman, and F1 is target nearest threat, so that we can very, very quickly target someone else without having to kind of go look for them or look around, or like we can see the sort of like shield dropping on the head-up display up top, and instantly with a tap of a button target them and apply the concordant sequence effect on them, as you will see in a moment. Before we drop and before we actually give you an action view of how this works in practice, I mentioned before regeneration sequence. Regeneration sequence, first and foremost, is only available on beam weapons. It is not available on pulse and burst lasers. And regeneration works differently than concordant in that regeneration directly heals your target wingmate's shield. So regeneration is affected by the size of the beam laser that you're using and its engineering, which is more limiting in practice, however, because it means you're sacrificing a large, or in some cases even huge, hardpoint for a weapon that is meant to be a support weapon, versus the beauty of Concordant Sequence is that it's an on and off effect, which is why, as you see on this weapon, we mount it on small turreted pulse lasers. Why do we do that? We do that because small turreted pulse lasers are at the same time the least power grid and distributor energy hungry weapons that you could possibly put on your ship, which means you will barely notice when they're firing as far as your distributor is concerned. And they swivel, so they're able to target your wingmates from pretty much any angle without you actually having to turn the ship and go and figure out where people are. So you'll see that in a moment, again, how effective this effect is. But again, Alex, what do you think about regeneration sequence? I think you've used it for a while during our Titan shenanigans back in the day.
So for regeneration sequence, as you already mentioned, you will want to use a larger hardpoint that, correlates to a weapon that outputs more damage, or in that case, healing for the shield. It will also mean that you have more off time or longer off time spending on healing the shields of your teammate rather than just applying a status effect on them quickly with a pulse laser.
That's a great point. Like, Concordant is fire and forget. Tap and forget it. Like, once you tap someone, they're good for 6 seconds. You can completely focus on doing something else. Versus with regeneration, you got to keep hitting them, because otherwise the regeneration effect doesn't apply. One last thing before we drop. These are shielded builds. So these are modified versions of Corsairs equipped with modified shard cannons. And the shields we are kitting, which by the way come with both a shield booster in the utilities and come with 2 Guardian shield reinforcement packages. These are kind of rare modules, but they're kind of nifty on this particular build. And we'll link the builds in the description below if you want to have a look firsthand on Etsy. The shields, and this is probably more relevant and important, that we are mounting is a bi-weave. And it's not just any bi-weave, but it's a reinforced bi-weave with a fast charge experimental. Why are we strongly preferring bi-weaves with fast charge, Alex?
Because the concordant sequence effect that we apply with the pulse laser directly, it increases the regeneration rate of your shields by, I think, 1000% was the value. So you want a shield that actually has some decent regeneration value that then gets increased by the concordant effect. For example, a prismatic, which barely regenerates by itself, will also have way less benefit from that regeneration sequence effect. Concordant sequence regeneration buff, I mean.
Bingo. Should we show folks how this works in action, Alex?
Sure.
All right, let's find this conflict zone, and we're in the California Nebula, which is the last remaining site of anti-Xeno combat zones. And normally we'd be doing this in a wing of 4, and that's why what we're planning to do this Saturday weekend as a training exercise for the Xeno Strike Force more broadly. But for the sake of this briefing video, we're just doing it with the 2 of us. All right, I have Alex, see you kind of dropping.
Yep.
And I have you targeted. And from here, I can see him and target him. Now his shields are full, so it's not going to do much. But one of the things you also want to be cognizant is range towards your wingmates, because obviously even with long range experimental, your concordant sequence effect only works up to 6 kilometers. Another thing that kind of changes to a degree is, to the extent that you can, you will want to fight without targeting your primary targets, because you want to keep your wingmate targeted and have your beams that are effectively constantly hitting them. See that blue plus sign next to Alex's shield in the bottom left of my HUD? That is the concordant effect. That means that the concordant effect is being applied. Also note that, I forgot that the targeting thing. This is why I kind of need to build some muscle memory for it. And I'm receiving the same effect from him. I'm also kind of rotating so that I'm keeping him below my ship, because the small turreted pulse that I'm using is on the underneath of my ship, which means that I can roughly hit Alex with it in the 180 degrees that roughly coincide with being on the bottom end of my ship. It's also a pretty nifty looking effect. Now that he's gonna pass me, you'll see how it looks. And see, as you can see, we're kind of like going about our business, shooting scouts, while the Concordant Sequence pulse turrets are doing their thing. So this is kind of brain dead in terms of like firing and forget. The only thing that is a bit of a difference is, again, that we're not actively targeting our intended scouts targets here while we're doing that. How did we get a 500,000 voucher already, Alex? Oh, have we finished the scout phase already?
The NPCs are quite effective against scouts, it turns out.
So I guess the NPCs got us a 500,000 bond. That's nice. So now we dance against interceptors, and that's I think when also the Concordant Sequence effect is going to come kind of more in handy, as obviously scouts are kind of like effectively a nuisance at most. Boom. Do you have a visual on? I don't have a visual on.
Yeah, one just dropped on white beams.
White beams?
We are a bit away.
Alright, tally white beams. Yes?
We're outside, we're shut down.
Yeah, we're out of shut down field. We're pretty far. See, my turreted pulse laser has stopped firing because I've gotten out of a 6-kilometer range. But as soon as you're back into 6-kilometer range, it starts firing again. Another good thing of like having this turreted pulse is that, again, you know when you're kind of like applying the effect on your wingmates versus not. And also, like, if you need to make an attack run and say to actually target because you want to target a heart or something, you can temporarily switch off. And did you take the first heart already, man? Leave some of it for me too.
Yes.
Is that a clubs?
Yeah, it's just a clubs.
It's just a clubs.
NPCs are almost finishing the job.
Part of the issue with like showing this demo right now is that either this is too easy or we're too good, Alex, because I don't think our shield dropped from 100% in a single time since we started.
Well, maybe if we get some, you know.
Let's see if we get some nastier things. We kind of like.
Tanky.
Is the second shield down already?
Yeah.
Second hard down, right?
Yep.
Alright.
NPCs are doing very well on that shield.
We also got 2 large beams on it, so. Alright.
The NPCs made it panic. That's funny.
Oh, I see. Is the shield down? I can't tell.
It went back up because it panicked. I didn't even shoot yet.
Oh, I see.
and the
Anyway,
NPCs just
I got it.
There we go.
Down it went.
Okay, watch out. We have a shutdown.
Holding.
Now,
Clear.
one thing you want to keep in mind if you have your shields charging is your system capacitor. So when you know that you need to use it for something, or just in general, you might to be you want to mind it a bit more and put pips to your system more than usual in an unshielded chip.
It's a great point, Alex. It's a great point. And in fact, most people don't know, but you actually need system capacitor to fire heat sinks and to fire caustic sinks. You need 2 megajoules of system capacitor energy to fire either one. So if your system capacitor is entirely empty, you're not firing heat sinks and you're not firing caustic sinks. That thing is dead.
Yep. So yeah, that's pretty important. Along just having some situational awareness of what's going on around you.
Yeah, the other thing, and I think that was a
experience.
point you were making the other day about these builds, which makes a ton of sense, is that caustic sinks are particularly important. Do you want to explain what you explained to me online the other day, which is a great point?
Oh yeah, so normally you can usually in general caustic sinks are
Klops and blue
more
beam, sorry.
of a
Klops and blue beam.
convenience item. Yep. So in general, caustic sinks for most ships are more of a convenience item. because for the caustic mechanic, you can just cook it off by overheating your ship to a certain degree. Usually it's about 150% or 250%. But on a shielded ship, you don't want to use silent running to overheat yourself, because silent running will turn your shield off, which, well, is undesirable for your shield tank build. So just having a caustic sink to clean off the caustic that you might have on your ship is just way more convenient than dealing with all of that.
How did you lose a 2% hull, by the way?
Me?
Yeah? You're 2% hull down.
I think it might have been some stray fire from a
You
swarm or
got, you got
something.
swarmed?
Maybe. Ah, here come the missiles.
Alex is dodging, as you can see up there. Do you want to eat? Because, like, we're doing this a little too well, Alex. In fact, we're not getting hit at all.
I guess.
Do you want to get hit by next time that thing missiles you? Do you want to actually get hit by the missile so we can show the concordant effect? I'm gonna sort of drop target so I'm not beaming you, but we can show the power of a concordant effect. If you wanna, whoever the two of us really gets missiled.
Here come the missiles.
Okay, you got the missiles. Look at his shield. He dropped. Look at his shield dropping very, very quickly from those missiles.
Okay,
Look at, like, now it's not charging.
Look
at the concordant effect. As soon as I tap him, look at that shield. Look at the magic of this effect. Isn't it insane?
Now,
boom.
Now,
in 1 second and a half, back to 100%.
Another thing you want to keep in mind when you get your shields regenerated by someone is the rapid regeneration of your shield will heat you up. So if you need to not be detected at that moment because you also have aggro, or you do not want to trigger special attacks, you might want to use a heat sink to let yourself stay cold while your shield is rapidly recharging. So this is also a kind of just team play effect that you should be aware and call out when you regenerate someone, so they know they want to use a heatsink if they need to, you know, stay under the 20% threshold.
Shield of this thing is down, right?
Yeah,
all right.
And it's lightning something. So
you wanna kill it?
Finish here. Yep. Let's go.
I'm a little too far.
Shield is down.
Let's back
The
up.
NPCs just made it panic.
Another good effect of having like a turreted pulse is it kind of tells you where your wingmates are at pretty much all time. It's like an indicator saying, hey, Alex is there. Now, it's two of us, so we're constantly having this wing effect. Like, in a wing, there's two ways you can set things up if you want to use Concordant Sequence. You can set it up so that Commander A taps Commander B, who taps Commander C, who taps Commander D, who in turn taps Commander A, or you can do it so that Commander A taps Commander B and Commander B taps Commander A. I find the latter to be a lot easier because trying to get 4 people to stick around in formation is a freaking nightmare, versus getting 2 people to work together as a team is much, much, much easier. You want to finish it off after we take this heart? I think we can.
3, 2, 1, let's go.
I'm out of clip. We got him. Excellent.
He's dead.
I clicked on the wrong
we
fire
have
group.
Another one on the radar.
Yep, I see it. Again, note how I use my hotkeys to target Alex. Surging.
Oh, we have a shutdown.
Hold, and 2, 1, hold.
Holding.
And clear. So Alex somehow lost his shields. I don't know how. How did you lose your shield?
I went silent running by accident.
Oh, okay. So this is
this is
a coachable moment for the masses out there, which is if you're flying in a Concordant Sequence wing or in general in a shielded wing in AX, what I personally do is I unmap my silent running button and I replace it with firing sealed cell banks, which I usually don't have on board, so it doesn't make a big difference in practice. But it prevents me from accidentally using my muscle memory to trigger silent running and get into trouble, because like as you can see, Alex is now getting shot at but has no shield. You will see though, when his shields are rebuilt with a Concordant Sequence effect, they will regenerate to 100 in like an instant. Actually, let me stop firing at him for a moment so I can show you like how quickly this thing will regenerate Alex's shield once they are rebuilt with it, which they will be in a moment.
Yep, at 90%.
All right, shields are rebuilt. Look how slowly they're charging now. And look, now I'm going to tap him. Tapped. And look at that.
There we go.
Woo! Shield fully charged. Now, this is an effect that is more powerful the bigger and the higher recharge the shields are. So seeing this work on a Type 10 with 8C biweaves is kind of amazing. But the problem with obviously using this on a Type 10 is that Type 10 is a very vulnerable ship in X combat because it's a very big ship. And then Alex just keeps killing things faster than I can even get in range, so kudos to Alex. You can also use it against interceptors if you want, in terms of like additional DPS, but you know, a turreted pulse laser barely does any DPS, so it's kind of pointless.
Not gonna be great, yeah.
So, I don't know, Alex, what do you think in terms of like the ships where this effect works best? Because there's ships that have better shields than the Corsair, like the FDL and the Mamba come to mind. Even the Python Mark II, to be honest.
But I think the Corsair isn't bad with shields either. I think it's okay.
I mean, I have just north of 1k shields with this thing, which is really not a lot, though. Like, is the shield of this interceptor down, by the way? No, it's not down yet.
Not yet, not yet.
Now it's down.
Now
just
it is.
fell.
Now it is.
All right, getting in range and engaging as soon as I am. Exert.
And exert it.
Oh, I'm out of heatsink ammo. That is a problem. I'm gonna cool myself with beam. I really should not engage without heatsinks, but I will. For the sake of expediency. Especially because it switched aggro just now, so it should be okay. Alex got that one for me. Thank you, Alex. As I was flaying around kind of pointlessly here.
I took some shots though.
I took some shots, so let's get, again, Concordant Sequence. Vroom. All healed up again.
There we go. Easy as that.
Note, because we have an abundance of caution, we are bringing repair builds. So we got repair limpets also for days. In fact, these things have 64 repair limpets, which could last kind of like truly a full day if we needed it to. But you don't really need repairs on this build if you fly correctly, like we kind of are right now. Or rather, Alex is. I'm flying less correctly here, as I'm talking and flying at the same time. I should also kind of synthesize some heat sinks while we're at it, because heat sinks are a nice thing to have. So let's synthesize those heat sinks.
Heat sinks are great. And this is something that you might want to also take into consideration when thinking about these shield builds, is that if you are going with the necessities of an AX conflict zone, and then, you know, a caustic sink and maybe even a shield booster to pop up your shield a bit, you will, well, run out of utility slots. So you might
Surge.
Have Surge.
2, 1, hold.
Holding. So you might have only one.
I need a tap. I need a laptop, my friend. I got swarmed.
Tab is coming.
Look at my shield now.
There we go.
All good, thank you.
Missile mode, watch out. So yeah, you might have a lower number of heat sinks than you might be used
Dodging
to.
missiles.
Well, classic overall tanks. Just to keep that in mind.
Exert. Exert. I see.
There we go.
Hard down.
Yep.
Good on shield. Also, note that both interceptors and swarms do phasing damage, as in part of their damage actually pierces shields. So you can't just completely skimp on hull, because at some point you will get damage through the shield regardless. But the damage that does go through shields is purely hull damage. It does not damage your modules underneath your shields. So it is possible to drop a number of module reinforcement packages, because your modules, if you fly correctly and don't make too many mistakes, your modules are not going to get damaged pretty much ever. I guess, unless your shields drop. Or unless you take heat damage because you're overheating for some reason, which again, you shouldn't be. Is a shield of this thing still up? Yeah, it's still up. It should not be up for long. How many hearts are we down this thing? I thought we've been fighting it for a while. Shield's down now.
We are down. Okay.
Moving to engage. It's difficult to shoot an interceptor that is not aggro to you.
That's true.
Alex is in range. I am not.
Oh, this down.
Nice one. Again, left tapping him. Back to 100% shield. Note that it is like very important to have mapped your search. 2, 1, hold.
Holding.
And clear. Note that it is very important to have mapped the select wingman hotkey, because in the heat of a battle you really don't want to flail around trying to find where your wingman is and target them and then move around to kind of like figure out like how you can tap them. You just want to have that one key, one tap ability in this kiting configuration.
Yep. I also want to mention that as a choice for long-range thermal vent beams, usually I do prefer fixed beams anyway, but in this case, also shield wedge just went down. In this case, having a fixed beam is also beneficial, because you can still fire it at whatever is in front of you while not having it targeted, which means you can target other things like your wingmates with a pulse laser, or you're using your other trigger to beam laser the interceptor.
Kill it, kill it, kill it.
Are down.
We got him.
And there we go.
All right. I think, Alex, that's kind of it. I think we improved the point and made the case for Concordant Wing combat. And anything else we should share? Any other sort of advice or words of wisdom as we close?
I think for the introductory guide on what this is as a concept, we covered pretty much all what we need.
All right. Well, thank you for watching, guys. Glory to mankind, Commander Mechan and Commander Alex MG1. Over and out.
Bye.